We start with a flashback, telling us that the meteor which supposedly killed the dinosaurs instead sent the poor sods to an alternate dimension somehow, and then they evolved into intelligent human-like beings also somehow. Whilst 20 years ago, some nutter left a rock and an egg on a nun's doorstep which hatched into a baby girl. Now in present-day Brooklyn, two random plumbers called Mario and Luigi keep getting beaten to jobs by some mafioso fella called Scapelli. Younger brother Luigi then meets a hot totty called Daisy, who eventually asks her out for a double-dated dinner with his brother and his bird, where she then describes how she's a student archaeologist and morbidly obsessed with digging up bones and shit. And before he can say, "I've got a bone for you, love," she reveals that she's an orphan, and we realise that she was totally that random egg baby what was dumped on a nun's doorstep 2 decades ago like yesterday's turd. Meanwhile, some dopey creepy bonehead types called Iggy and Spike are plotting to kidnap that hot totty because reasons, but end up abducting Mario's girly friend by mistake. No! Later, Luigi tries to seduce that Daisy chick by getting her all hot under the collar talking about long dead corpses and shit, but accidentally witness Scapelli's men sabotaging some pipes. So after he and Mario fix them up, those two dopey boneheads finally kidnap the real Daisy before the boys later find her being sucked into a small wall. So naturally, they try and save her but just end up robbing her jewellery, before jumping in after her and falling through a bizarre dimension, what gives me flashbacks to my uni days whilst high on LSD. Bruh. The lads then arrive in a place called Dino Hatton, where Luigi gets a feeling that they may not be in Brooklyn no more. Which I thought was fairly obvious given the complete lack of gats and people walking around who are totally not riddled with bullet holes and shit. Anyway, we then meet the main baddie called King Cooper, who's a germophobic white boy with cornrows, and who overthrew the OG king before enacting one of them dictatorship things. Iggy and Spike then tell him the good news, and that they totally captured the long-lost hot totty princess what he's been after for years, but unfortunately have lost her little rock necklace thing. And naturally, he's super pissed about it, because he really needs that to merge the dimensions and totally steal the Earth's resources from the human world and shit. So, after getting a taste of their own medicine and being mugged by an old granny, the Mario lads then proceed to get mugged again, but this time by a morbidly obese chocolate lady with jetpack boots, before the lads promptly get arrested for being plumbers. Not a joke. Elsewhere, Daisy meets up with Mario's floozy from that dinner earlier, where it turns out that those two dopey boneheads had previously kidnapped loads of random girls thinking they were Daisy. Later, a main baddie Cooper, who's clearly watched too many Coolio rap videos living in his dino paradise, de-evolves an innocent busker and turns him into an ancient lizard fella with a tiny head, known as Beetlejuice. A Goomba. And he threatens to do the same to them Super Mario Bros fellas if they don't tell him where that random rock is what they got mugged twice over. But unfortunately, he can't stop monologuing and quickly gets taken out by two plumbers. The lads then stare at a small bomb trapped in the midst of some fungus, and before you can say, well, this random thing totally won't come up again in Act 3, they steal a cop car and get the F out of Dodge. Later, Cooper is recuperating in a small mud bath after being smacked up by two Italian labourers, and his jealous wife Lena just can't believe how he keeps on talking about finally getting his hands on that hot totty princess what he's been obsessed with for over 20 years. Hilariously, Spike and Iggy are then made super smarter by his evolution machine, so they won't keep failing him now that they have a decent brain. Man, I think we need one of them things for most of our politicians these days. Meanwhile, Lena tells Daisy all about her mum's backstory and how the Queen smuggled her out of the Dino City and over into the real world, before dumping her as an egg with them nun fellas. Whilst Cooper then killed her royal mummy and totally finished his coup, bro. Daisy then confronts her family's naughty murderer killer, who just shrugs and shows her his pet dino called Yoshi. Elsewhere, Spike and Iggy then feign stupidity to try and get the bros to hand over the rock fragment, before revealing that the portal has been closed for years on their side, and Mario soon realises that Scapelli chap must have accidentally opened it back up when his men were messing about with pipes and totally trying to steal their business. And Cooper's dastardly plan is to get the king's daughter, who's the only one who can withstand the energy forces, to place the rock on top of the meteorite thing, which will then merge the two worlds. Or some shit. But the bros just say they ain't got no stinking rock, so shut up about it already. So they then do a trucy team up, and the phony fakey donut bros then get the clueless Mario bros into some sort of CD strip club. And before you can say, I thought this was based on a kid's game, the Super Mario fella confronts that morbidly obese chocolate lady mugger from earlier and seduces her with the least erotic dancing since John Sargent dragged that poor bird across the floor and Strictly Come Dancing a few years ago, and he totally steals back the necklace. But unfortunately, the Goombas burst in and totally raid the gaff, as Lena then ends up in possession of the rock he just teethed, and having been impressed and slightly turned on by Mario's saucy dancing and also his thieving skills, the stunning and brave Lizzo cosplayer then lends them her blasty booties, and they totally fly off through the roof. Eventually, the boys arrive back at the bottom of Cooper Tower, before grabbing some random clobber from a locker and totally changing into their iconic uniforms. Elsewhere, Iggy and Spike have got captured off screen for plotting their cousin's overthrow now he's made them super smart, though clearly not smart enough to keep their voices down when conspiring to kill the literal king. Meanwhile, the Super Mario Bros do some more dancing in a lift, whilst little Yoshi saves poor Daisy from getting deaded before totally indulging his foot fetish.
Bruh.
And Daisy soon runs into them two super smart bonehead kidnappers who have also escaped and now say that they totally supported her father the king all along, and proceed to prove it by taking her to see her presumed deaded daddy, and turns out her father is now a giant gooey testicle because reasons. And cause they're now super smart, they then totally cark and run away before the inevitable revolution starts kicking off and shit. Elsewhere, Luigi marvels at some more mushrooms before linking up with Daisy and totally meeting her ball-bag scrotum dad. Daisy then tells Mario that his girlfriend is also locked up in the building, so he runs off to save her before the other two dopes get totally captured by the albino Coolio cosplayer. Anyway, that super duper Mario fella then rescues all the girls by chucking them down a small pipe, and looks like he's having the time of his life, to be fair. But he then lands them back down in Dino Town on a flying mattress like an old and busted Italian Aladdin, and soon faces off with his arch nemesis, whilst Lena gets literally shocked to her core. And her frazzled brain reckons she can now open the portal to the human world, despite knowing earlier that only the king's lineage can handle the power. Meanwhile, Mario then sets off one of them small Chekhov's bomb things from earlier, which just wanders around for a bit rather anticlimactically, as Lena gets literally fossilised trying to open said portal thing what only the king's lineage can open. So naturally, the royal daughter Daisy tries to remove the rock that Lena just placed in the meteorite, as Luigi gets busy sending the girls back through the wall. But suddenly the merging process begins, and Mario and Koopa soon turn into pixie dust and then end up reintegrating back into the human world, where their twin towers get ruined in the process. And before you can say, well, that's a rather unfortunate omen, Koopa devolves Capelli into an adorable monkey in a business suit because comedy, bro. Anyway, Daisy successfully separates the two rocks with the help of a tool. And Luigi's plumbing gear, I guess. And said Luigi fella soon joins his bro and shoots Koopa in the face with a devolving gun of his own, which totally reverts him into his ancient lizard form, whilst that little bomb what Mario set off earlier finally gets around to doing his one job and blows the scaly fucker to Kingdom Come, before the lads regress that naughty dictator all the way back to Primordial Slime.
What?
Then they fly off, having liberated Dino Hatton and also somehow automatically reverting the king back to human form because reasons. Daisy then says she can't go back with them to their world because she needs to stay here to settle the people and then do some catching up with her father, and promptly tells that Luigi simp that she ain't going to be going on any more dates with him for a while, so shut up about it already. But then we cut to 3 weeks in the future, and that princess bird is back not even a month later, kicking down their door and saying that she needs their help with a new mission, which I'm guessing consists of shooting a bunch of new content for a Jurassic themed OnlyFans page, and bringing a whole new meaning to Gigantosaurus.
LOL!
And that's it. That's the movie. And apparently, this was the very first live-action movie adaptation of a video game. And overall, it seemed pretty faithful with all the mushrooms and blonde princesses and shit. Though I don't quite remember throwing little old grannies off balconies in Super Mario World, but hey-ho. Though my favourite part was the truly incredible dialogue, with such gems as,
I'd high-five you, but then you'd be an only child.
and,
And
You know what they say about little girls, don't you? They never forget the first time they're kissed by a lizard.
And who could forget the oldie but goldie?
Trust the fungus.
Gah, with dialogue this good, who needs Aaron Sorkin? But anyway, that's the plot and that's your lot. Considering in that bell thing, so you don't miss any future recaps. Tell me if you like this flick in the comments if you have time, and I'll see you in the next one.